Shalom uvracha, dear friends, Rabbi Cantor Steve Texon of the Cuban Hebrew congregation. Well, we have passed through the high holidays, the New Year celebration, the Day of Atonement. We are cleansed, please God, and face a new year. And 5 days following Yom Kippur, we are commanded to go into the Sukkah, into a fragile, flimsy hut, symbolic of God's protection of the Jewish people following the Exodus, and more symbolic of God's eternal protection of us throughout Jewish history. This coming Shabbat, the second Shabbat of the new year, our Torah reading is from the book of Leviticus, specifically about Sukkot and the three festivals, the trilogy, the three pilgrimage festivals, the last of which is Sukkot, because the trilogy begins with Pesach, then Shavuot, in the middle, the intermediate being the high holidays, and now Sukkot. And it is a fascinating progression, because Sukkot has within it the deepest meaning, the coming of the Messianic age, the ultimate redemption of the Jewish people. God's Sukkah, beyond the fragile hut, the Sukkah of heaven, the cloud of glory that accompanied us through the desert and is with us to this very day. God's very presence in the sanctuary and in us. Now this Shabbat coming this weekend, October 3rd, we, as I mentioned, do not complete the Torah yet. That's for the following Shabbat, October 10, and we will be open again, and we will be functioning, and we're having a beautiful service and kiddush under the sukkah this Shabbat. But we will not be able to use the four species, the citron and the palm branch, the willow and the myrtle, the four species, and wave them in praise of God because it's Shabbat. Just like we could not blow the shofar on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, which was Shabbat. But this holiday of Sukkot is mystical and special. I mentioned it's symbolic, the huts. We go beyond the flimsy hut that we erect in memory and recognition of the huts we built following the Exodus. But our rabbis tell us that the Torah really makes no mention of dwelling in Sukkot. We dwelled in tents. Matovu oholecha Yaakov. We didn't dwell in Sukkot. Sukkot was the name of a location where we encamped following the Exodus, even before the splitting of the Red Sea. So this holiday cannot, which is called Sukkot, cannot be this magnificent holiday in memory of a location called Sukkot. Even though Sukkot means covering, it's because we dwelled in tents. We mentioned that we dwelled in huts on that one time, a short period, which is beautiful. And let's make this beautiful hut. However, we dwelled in tents, and the greater meaning is the covering of the cloud of glory that covered and protected us throughout Jewish history. Now, Sukkot is really fragmented into two parts. There's the holiday of Sukkot that belongs with the trilogy of Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. And then there's the Sukkot part of the future messianic age that I alluded to at the beginning. The ultimate redemption of not only the Jewish people, but of the entire world. And we read of this in the Haftorah, the Shabbat, for the first day of Sukkot, from Zechariah, that the messianic era is foreshadowed, foreseen with the holiday of Sukkot. We know this because the commandment to observe Sukkot in this week's Torah reading is divided into two parts. It's described first without mentioning the four species. There's an interruption with other festivals, and then we conclude it's repeated again, Sukkot, this time including the four species and with an allusion really to the Messianic age, and that Moses proclaimed the festivals before all Israel. Vayedaber Moshe et Moadei Adonai el Bnei Yisrael. This is the real Sukkah. The Sukkah, the Sukkot, associated with redemption under the Sukkat Shalomecha. Ufros aleinu Sukkat Shalomecha. Spread over us, O God, your tabernacle, your Sukkah of peace. Peace for the people of Israel, people of the world, and personal peace. And this is a holiday of joy. Joy is an integral part of Sukkot, culminating in the ultimate joy the following week with Simchat Torah, which we will talk about in next week's video. The ultimate rejoicing of the Torah when we begin the whole cycle of the Torah reading again amidst joy. Yes, a few tears are shed as we read of the death of Moses. We immediately wipe those tears away and begin with Bereshit in joy and in confidence that this will be a new year, a better year, a sweeter year, a healthier year, and a successful year. Amen. Chag Sameach, Shabbat Shalom.